So welcome everyone once again. Grace is our admin for today. Make sure you keep your eye on the waiting room to let people in. I'm going to share my screen now so that we can start the class. Let me know if you can see my screen. Let's feel free to unmute ourselves and speak. Okay. Can you see my screen, please?
Yes, we can.
Okay, great. Grace, I think there's someone waiting in the waiting room.
Oh yes, I've admitted her.
Oh, awesome. So welcome to our e-learning class. Today's class will be on designing a 3C scenario-based activity with Microsoft PowerPoint. So this is what we're going to be doing today. These are the topics we're going to be touching today. We're going to be generating content using AI for our 3C scenario activity. We're going to be creating a storyboard for the 3C scenario activity, and we're going to learn animation using the Morph on PowerPoint. So I just want to quickly run us through one of the reasons why I decided to use PowerPoint. I know that many of us and our organizations want to work on a budget, and instead of having to subscribe to very expensive softwares, I know that PowerPoint is a tool that we already are familiar with and we probably have access to. And the interesting thing about PowerPoint is if you don't have the computer-based one, which is paid, there is a web-based option that is free, which you can have access to and use. The only thing about using the web-based option, which is free, is you might not be able to download your work as a video, but what you can do is to use a screen recorder app. There are many free screen recorder apps out there that you can use. And but PowerPoint is readily available, available to everyone. And we're going to be using software today. So I mentioned that we're going to be doing animation using a feature on PowerPoint. And I need us to be mindful of certain things when we are doing our animation, which is we need to keep it very simple. Make sure that your animation is very simple, because your animation is supposed to add to your learning content, to the learning experience. When you're adding your animation to your learning content, it's supposed to add to the experience of the learners rather than distract them. So you want to make sure it's simple. And we're going to be needing images for our animation, and there are different apps that you can use where you can get your free images from. One of them is FreePic. PowerPoint also has some free images, and there is also Midjourney. One amazing thing about Midjourney and PowerPoint is that you can actually get your images to have different positions, like sitting down, standing. You can get different facial expressions for your animation, for your scenario-based activity design. And so when you're making use of vector, I like to make use of vector images a lot rather than real images, because they don't get pixelated when you increase the size. So it's easy to scale the size without having any form of pixelation happening. And then when you get your vector images, you can move them to a vector editing software like Adobe Illustration, and when you do that, it helps you to get a very good quality. And you can also use Infinity Designer, which is Adobe Illustrator. Sorry, it's not Illustration. Adobe Illustrator is not a free software, except your organization already has it. I'll advise that you use an app like Infinity Designer too. And then you can also use Inkscape. That's a vector editing software that you can use. And there are many others on the internet that you can make use of, that you can find out there. So let's move on to one moment. Okay, give me a moment. The app was not changing, so I had to. So I'll share my screen again. I think my screen just froze for a moment. Oh, the setting doesn't allow messages to be sent to everyone. No, you should be able to. Oh, I'm so sorry about that. Okay, no problem. I'll work on that because I have to. I'm not sure I can do it from here. If anybody has a tip on how to do that from here without me having to go back to the Zoom setting.
Yeah, just click on you click on the chat. Then I think there are 3 buttons on that. So just click on it. You'll see options. We can allow to everyone.
Okay,
Just-
it's not giving me the option to do that. On chat, there's an arrow. Okay, let me
Yeah.
share my screen.
Yeah, on this thing from my end, I'm able to, when you see send to, if you click on the send to, the name that is there, it shows everything. So it has everyone and it has everybody's individual names.
Yes.
Yeah,
You just
because-
click on
So-
Because
everyone.
we are the host. But for participants, we are not able to see everyone there. So we went to the
So-
open the chat.
One moment, please.
Okay.
Recording. Okay, so I assume everyone can see my screen. So when you're creating a scenario-based e-learning activity, so when I say scenario-based in an e-learning activity, I mean you want to create, it's more like when you're creating a form of assessment or quiz. It's not a quiz, but you have a situation where you have a challenge, which is the question, and there are choices for your learner to choose from. And when the learner makes a choice, they can see the consequence. And this is not just in form of a normal quiz. It's in form of animation where it's like role play. You have a character and you have a situation where your learner is touching things on the screen, because it's to actually motivate learners to learn by interacting with the screen. There's a character there. There is a challenge. It's more like there's an event happening. It's like a role play, basically. So there are 3 elements that you need in your scenario-based activity. You need your content, which is what learners really want to learn. That's what you want to pass across to your learners. You're going to create a storyboard which explains the journey that your learner, the experience that your learner goes through, the journey, and then you develop the activity. So let's start with the content. In the content, I mentioned earlier, it's called 3C scenario activity. There are 3 elements. There's a challenge, there's a choice, and there's a consequence, which comes in form of feedback. And when you use this method of assessment, it helps learners to not only understand what they are being taught well, it also helps them to retain knowledge, because it's like a form of simulation. It's like a real life experience. They're going through a real life experience. An example is when you have a particular learning to be designed, and this learning, after your learners are done with the learning, they're supposed to be able to do certain things. So you want to bring an example of the kind of activities that learners in that organization would be involved in, and you ask them to make choices as if they're at work. For example, a customer service advisor now has needs to deal with issues with the clients on the phone. You have an example of the kind of problems, the kind of complaints that your customers will bring in, and then you have choices of how your customer service advisor is supposed to respond to that situation and what will be the consequences. So you will bring in the right choice and the wrong choice, and there is feedback. Imagine a learner, a customer service advisor learner going through that kind of learning content. It helps them to really understand what would go wrong if they give the wrong response. And when they're now in the real scenario, it's easy for them to remember, rather than when you just come up with a PowerPoint content and you just list the do's and don'ts. I hope we are following me. If you have any question at this point, kindly ask me. So I have an example for us here about content. I have a scenario here. So the challenge here is to move a fragile item from one place to the other. So the scenario is that Sarah and her team need to move a delicate and expensive piece of equipment to a different room for a presentation. And the item is fragile and requires very careful handling to avoid damage. All right. So you have a choice in which Sarah decides to move the fragile item on her own, thinking it will be faster and easier. She doesn't seek assistance or inform her team about the delicate nature of the equipment. That's a choice she makes. And then when she makes that choice, there are consequences. One of them is that the fragile item could get damaged during the move. The lack of collaboration leads to a negative impact on the team's goal. And you can also have a situation where the choice highlights the importance of communication and collaboration when dealing with delicate or valuable items. So now, this situation embodies like 3 different topics. Instead of saying, okay, what is the importance of communication and collaboration, and you list different things, and then you also want to come up with a topic that talks about how to handle fragile items. You could have a PowerPoint file that has contents that list out all the different things, but this scenario has a lot of things embodied in it, and then it passes down the information that you want your learners to get. Now let's look at the second choice. Sarah communicates with her team about the delicate nature of the item and collaborates to ensure a safe and secure move. She seeks assistance and assigns specific roles to team members based on their strengths. That is another choice, right? So what happens when you make that choice? The fragile item is moved safely without any damage. The team members feel involved and valued, fostering a positive team environment. This choice emphasizes the significance of collaboration in achieving common goals, especially when dealing with delicate items. Now, if you look at these 2 choices, you could have had a PowerPoint doc that says, what are the significance of collaboration, and you list different things. How do you foster positive team environment? You list different things. How do you move a fragile item safely? You list different things on a PowerPoint document, and your learners are looking at it. It looks so boring, and then they are not really sure of, I mean, it looks so boring. They are not motivated to learn, and they might not really get the information. And when later you're asking them what they learned, they might not be able to really remember, because it's hard to retain knowledge when you just have a list of items. Now we're going to translate this content now into an animation in which there is role play. You have your scene, you have the character, and all this information are also going to be put in. into it. Grace, it looks like you're having issues with your network, right?
I was trying to switch from my mobile phone to my laptop.
Okay, so are you good now?
Yes, I'm good now.
Okay, so I'll make you co-host so that I can keep admitting people. Okay, so let's move to the next slide in which, so the next, if we remember, I mentioned that there are 3 things that you need to consider in your scenario-based e-learning activity. You have the content, you have the storyboard, and then you develop. Now, you don't just move from the content. I've showed us the content now. So by the way, I developed that content using AI, and I'm going to show us how I did that. So the next thing is the storyboard. So I think before I move to the storyboard, let me quickly show us how I did the, I got the content from ChatGPT. Stop sharing this one and open ChatGPT. Are we following? Does it make sense what I've been saying so far?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, great.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, great. So we have learned that for a scenario-based activity, you need to consider 3 things. You need to develop your content, your storyboard, and then you develop. I mean, you need to create your content, which is what learners will actually learn. You need to create your storyboard, and then you develop. We're on content now. And on content, we say there are 3 elements of your content for a scenario-based activity. There is the challenge, there is the choice, and then your consequence. So I want to quickly show us how I got my content from ChatGPT. Can we see my screen on ChatGPT? Is that what is showing at your end? Just let's feel free to.
Yes, it is.
We can see, okay, great, thank you. Thank you for that response. Excuse me. So what I did was to, how many of us have used ChatGPT before? Or is there anyone who hasn't used ChatGPT before? Let me ask a question that way. Is there anyone? If you haven't, please let me know. Okay.
Yes, I haven't.
Okay, Jonathan hasn't. Who else hasn't? So you need to go to OpenAI, chat.openai.com, and sign up. That's the first step. And I'll encourage us, if you have, let's say probably you're watching this on your phone, you can, if you have your laptop, you can try to attempt some of the things I'm teaching you as we go, if it's easy for you to do that. So go to chat. Let me put the link in the chat for everyone. So you can go there and sign up. Yeah, openai.com. So you can sign up and then you come to new chat. I have quite a number of them here. So what I did was to type, so one of the things that I like to do, because talking to ChatGPT is like talking to a robot, a person, a robot person, whatever. So I always like to start with hello, and then ChatGPT will respond, how can I assist you today? So I put in my question here for a 3C scenario activity. Please suggest a scenario about a lady carrying a box and needs to drop it to ensure safety precautions. So ChatGPT responds, certainly, here's a scenario for you, blah, blah, blah. So ChatGPT gave me, a topic, which is the safety relay. And as you can read here, meet Sarah, a diligent employee at a small office. Today, Sarah has received a package that needs to be delivered to the storage room on another floor. The box is a bit heavy and requires a proper handling to ensure safety precautions are followed. So ChatGPT has already created for me my story. So what I'm just going to be doing is to copy and paste. But one thing just you need to also be mindful of, if you can always tweak it. If the content that has been brought out for you is not exactly the way you want it, you have a good template to work with. You just, just change some of the words or, rearrange the way you want. Now, ChatGPT gives me the roles of the people that will be involved in that scenario activity. We have Sarah, who is the carrier. We have Alex, who is the elevator operator. We have Lisa, the safety supervisor. I can decide that I don't want elevator to be involved in what I'm carrying, which is the case for what I want to do. Excuse me. And so I'm not really working with the elevator operator. I'm just using Sarah and then the safety supervisor. So what's the instruction? There's the communication, where Sarah needs to communicate the weight of the box and any concerns she has to Alex, who is the supervisor, before entering the elevator. I can tweak that and just remove before entering the elevator. Alex needs to inform Sarah about the elevator capacity and any safety guidelines. I don't need that. So maybe in our case, it might be that Alex needs to inform Sarah about the safety precautions to take when you're passing through, the particular door or the entrance or staircase, wherever she's going to pass. So you're going to tweak it to your own situation at the office, whatever content you are creating, whoever you are creating for, what are the, what do they have in place that you need to think about? So you tweak it. Now, collaboration between Sarah and Lisa now. Lisa observes Sarah's movement and provides real-time feedback on proper lifting techniques and posture. Sarah can ask Lisa for assistance or guidance if needed. There's critical thinking. All participants need to critically assess the situation and prioritize safety over speed. They should identify potential hazards in the environment, blah, blah, blah. What's the objective? These are now your objective, the learning objective. So these are all the things that ChatGPT has brought out for us. But when we are going to create our own content, most likely this objective is going to come first, right? So this is it. So this wasn't really what I wanted to do today. So I now put in another question. I said, let's focus on collaboration. Please suggest a challenge, two choices, right or wrong, and feedback based on each choice. This was another question that I put in. That now I don't want to focus on all these three things: communication, collaboration, and critical thinking, because I want us to just focus on designing one activity today. So I said, let's focus on collaboration, and then brought out this for me. So I have my scenario, which I have the choice 1 feedback, choice 2 feedback. If you remember, I talked about the 3 elements of a 3C scenario activity. You have your challenge, your choice, and consequence. Consequence here is the feedback. So I copied this in. I hope we understand what I've just explained on ChatGPT now. If you have any question, please let me know. So basically, you put in your information as simple as possible to get the response from ChatGPT. Please, does anyone have a question at this point before I move on? Any question, please? Can we still hear me?
Hi. I wanted to ask, Ma,
Okay.
for the choices,
Yeah.
based on this scenario based, do those responses come out automatic? For
Yeah.
instance, choice 1 wrong, I can see here the feedback, choice 2 right. Are they automatic response as well?
Okay, now if you look at this place, can you see this point where my pen,
Yeah.
So this was my question. I said, please suggest a challenge, 2 choices, ask for 2 choices, right and wrong or wrong.
Okay.
And then feedback based on each choice. This was what I asked for, and it came. If I'd asked for 3, okay, let's try 3 choices. What do you have in mind? Let's try it together.
Can this be boldened a little bit?
You can't see.
It seems a little tinier. That's why I probably did not notice.
Okay,
when you have the focus questions. I mean, if others can see, it's fine. Oh, yeah.
Did everyone
this
see
is
it well?
better. It's a lot
Yes, it's much better.
Okay,
I
so
think what you need to do is to zoom it. If you're using your
yeah,
phone, just zoom it close to you. That's what I did.
okay, she needs to zoom it, right? Are you using your phone?
I'm using my laptop actually.
Okay, I just zoomed in my own screen now to make it
Yeah,
come.
it's a lot better.
Okay, great. So what do you have in mind? How many choices do you want us to talk about?
We can do 3 actually.
Okay, let's try 3 now. So we'll do 3. So it's generating. So if you look at it now, this is the response based on our. So the challenge is collaborative decision-making in a crisis scenario. Sarah's team faces a sudden crisis. A critical deadline is approaching, and there's a significant setback in the project. The team must make a quick decision to address the issue and meet the deadline. Now, Sarah decides to make, this is choice 1. This is the feedback for choice 1. Choice 2, feedback. Choice 3 is right. I think choice 1 and choice 2 are wrong. So usually when you are doing a scenario-based learning, there is a particular, there's usually a right choice. Excuse me, and your wrong choice can be 1, 2, or 3. So the idea is you want people to see there's a particular step you want your learners to take when they are faced with a particular situation. That will be your right choice. So what are the other wrong choices that they could come up, that they could make? And what could be the consequence? So that will determine what you put in. So, and it's not all the time that you have to use ChatGPT. If you have years of experience in that, years of experience, and you are the subject matter expert, or whoever the subject matter expert is, and they have certain choices that they want, certain standard choices that they want their learners to make, their staff to make when they are faced with a situation. Maybe it could be based on compliance or whatever works with the organization, or after you've done your need analysis, you've realized, okay, these are the choices that should be made. You don't have to use ChatGPT. It's when you're not really sure of what to put in. ChatGPT will help you to think of other situations that you probably haven't experienced and would be nice for your learners to know. But if you already have certain options that you have in mind, you could put them. So in this case, what you'll come to ask ChatGPT will be, what will be the consequences of those actions that probably your organization hasn't faced before? And then you can put it in your learning so that it can be more robust. So do we have any other question? Okay, great. So let's go back to, so we've dealt with content now. If you want to use ChatGPT, or if you have your content already, that's great. Let's go to, if I stop sharing. Yeah. So let me go back to my slide and so here, let's dive into the storyboard. So now when you want to create your storyboard, so this is our content that I copied from ChatGPT for choices 1 and 2. Now let's go to our storyboard. So your storyboard is a visual mapping of the learner's experience.
You're not sharing your screen. You're not sharing your screen. Sorry.
Oh, thank you. Okay. Sorry, thank you for informing me. So, okay. Is it on presentation mode at your end?
Yes, it is.
Yes, please.
Okay, great. So now, like I said earlier, your storyboard is a visual representation or mapping of the learner's journey. You want to map the learner's journey in a visual way. The reason this is really important is the way we put in the text now, you as the learning designer know what you have in mind, but your subject matter expert or the stakeholders, they can't picture it, because remember, you're not designing for yourself, and you're going to be needing sign-offs from people, the stakeholders, probably subject matter expert or whoever is involved. And then at times, if your learners are involved, if you're carrying your learners along, there's a stage where you carry learners along so that you are sure that what you're designing makes sense to them. Whoever your stakeholders are that need to follow up on your design, you want to present this idea to them before you get to actually develop the content. So once you've got your content information from ChatGPT, GPT, or you have a content bank in your organization, you've done your research, and you have your activity put together, you want to show it to your stakeholders. And this mapping is a very effective way of letting them see what needs to be done. So you want to map it out like this. Can we see the scenario storyboard screen? Are we able to see the screen for the mind map?
Yes, we are.
Okay, great. So here, this is me mapping out the content that I showed us earlier. So now we are starting with the challenge, which is the movement of delicate equipment. So we have the wrong choice, we have the right choice. The wrong choice is where Sarah moves items on her own. The second one is where Sarah collaborates with team. And so I decided to summarize it here, but what the ideal thing for you to do is to put in your entire information. For example, let's go back. In this case, choice 1 is Sarah decides to move fragile item, blah, blah, blah. That is what you should put in there. I did not want to overcrowd the page. That was why I didn't put that on there. So the scenario, or you may have this content to show them in case you don't want your screen to be, choked up, and you have, the sentence for the scenario is very long, and I wanted it to be clear enough and bold. If I put everything and I put it on the screen, it's going to either take so much space or it will be too small. So if whatever you're writing is, enough to fit into the screen, you can just put it. But if not, you can summarize like this, and then you have the other documents to show them. So we have choice 1 and choice 2. Choice 1, Sarah moves items on her own, and this is the feedback, the consequence. The 3 consequences that we have listed are on this left side, the yellow highlight. On the right side, we have choice 2, where Sarah collaborates with team, and these are the consequences. So let me ask us, which presentation do you think is easier for your stakeholder to understand? This one or the other one that looks like a Word doc? Which one would be easier to present? Let me have our responses. Are we here?
This one.
Okay.
Yeah, obviously this one is much better.
Yes, because it's visual. So storyboards, there are different types of storyboards. There will be a class where we talk about general storyboard. When you're presenting your storyboard, of course, you can have the text storyboard and you can have visual storyboard. So a text storyboard would be, having this text here. You still have this text here, but beside each text, you are trying to explain to them where it will be. You are telling them maybe in brackets, okay, scenario 1, choice 1, I will do it this way. Choice 2, the feedback, when I'm designing, I'll put the feedback on page 1, page 2, page 3. It doesn't really, they'll just be looking at you that, what are you saying? But when you have it visually represented like this, it makes sense. So let's go to developing the content.
What person? I'm spelling precisely.
Okay, somebody needs to be muted.
Because person with the fire update. About that, bro. Don't worry.
Grace, could you please mute that person? So we have our content development now. So we need to get assets. So our assets are the character, the background and all that, and then we'll do the animation. So obviously we can't do everything today. That's why I divided it into 2 different classes. We'll finish it up tomorrow. We still have like 15 minutes. So we're going to be using PowerPoint, like I said earlier. And what I want to show us today is how to use the morph transition feature in PowerPoint. Next week, we're going to be learning how to use AI to get our assets. And then we're also going to be learning the proper, development of a 3C scenario-based activity. But today, I want to show us the animation, the general animation, so that we have a good foundation of how to do the animation. Then next week, it will be easy for us to just get into what we need to do. So here is an instruction on how to use the morph transition effectively. And I also have, I have here, a reference. I'm going to share this with us so that we can read it. Okay, well, we'll have access to this later. So let's not waste time on that. And then, so this is our animation. So the first thing, I want us to just view it and see it work. So I'm going to show us how to do this. And then, okay, so that's what we're going to learn how to do today. So this doesn't really talk, this doesn't have text added to it. We don't have the other character. We only have Sarah carrying the box. And then I'm going to show us how to do this. And then we'll do the complete story next week because we don't have much time again. So let me stop sharing. And first of all, I want to show us how to use the morph feature on PowerPoint for different, types of content. I hope I'm still recording. No, I stopped the recording at a point.
Yes, you are still recording.
Oh, great.
The red light is flashing.
Yes. Because I know I paused it one time. Okay, good. So let me share my screen. So there are different use cases for the morph feature on PowerPoint. Okay, so let me show us how to use the morph feature, and then we'll talk about this. So the morph feature is if you come up here to transition, you can see the tabs here. There is File, Home, Insert, Draw, Design, and then Transitions. So when you come to Transition, you're going to see all the options. The morph is the second one after None. Can we see that? Are we following?
Yes, we can.
Okay,
Yes,
good.
we can.
So that's the morph option, the morph feature. So this morph feature actually basically helps you to be able to do easy and smooth transition from one slide to the other, like what we saw on the video that I showed us earlier. So now, for example, so you can use it for explainer videos, which is what I'm going to show us today. That video is just explaining, how Sarah carried the box from one place to the other. There's you can use it for like a science exhibition display, showing the anatomy of an animal, the different parts, e-learning scenario, showing consequences and all that. We're going to do that next week. You can use it for interactive infograph, and also use it to animate text appearing from a box or simulation as an infograph video. Excuse me. So let's look at this dinosaur. Now, let's say, for example, you want to do an exhibition in which there are different parts of this dinosaur. You already got your assets. It's on this slide. If I say, so what you need to do is your first slide will show the first position. Then the next slide will show the next position that you want your movement to get to. And then once you click on it, you come to this transition and you click morph. I already did that. And then if you click on preview, can you see the movement from, I want us to pay attention. When I click on preview, the first thing you'll see is the slide before it. And then it moves to this next one. Now let's come to the third one. I'm applying the morph feature to it now. When I click preview, it's going to show this slide 3. Slide 1 is where we had our use cases displayed. Slide 2 is this first dinosaur. Slide 3 we have done. Slide 4 has our third picture. So when I apply the morph feature and I click on preview, you can see it's coming from slide 2 to 3. Imagine you want to do the anatomy, you want to show the different parts of a particular animal or human being or whatever. This is a very nice, feature to use for your animation. Now let's come here. If I apply morph to this one, so basically when you apply morph to a particular slide, it helps you transition from the previous slide to that current one. So as you can see, now if you will now want to have this as a video, okay, so let's go to slideshow. If I come to slide 2, starting from slide 2, and I click on my slideshow, I'm going to see, oh, okay. Can we see the movement? So that's it. So the next one is this 3D item, 3D sphere. Is it a pyramid or spherical pyramid or whatever the name is? So there are different parts. Let's say, for example, you want to show the different parts of it. Maybe you have a presentation where you are putting different points on different sides. I already morphed all of them, and I'm just going to do a slideshow for us to see. So we have, let me start from 2. If you see the preview, it moves from 1 to 2. So if I'm going to do slideshow now, I already morphed them. And then there's timing. You can also apply timing to it, which I'm going to show us with the other example. Okay, so let's, those are 2 examples that are, okay, so this is another way you can use it. Let's say, for example, this, let's assume that the yellow circle is the sun, and you have, the different, what are they called now, around it, the planets around it, or let's say these are just circles, and you have content that you want to showcase. If I move to this next slide now, let's note that this wine button in this next slide, it's bigger, right? And that is A. I've labeled them A to F in anti-clockwise direction, starting from this wine circle. And the first one is actually small. Okay, let me do something. Let me make all of them about the same size. So that way we will not be confused about the transition. I'm going to make all of them about the same size. It's not perfect, but so let's assume that green is A. Now I'm doing clockwise now. I'm starting with green. B. C. D. Sorry, no, this is D. Clockwise. E. F. So what I'm going to do is to duplicate this slide. Okay. What's happening? So I'll duplicate this slide so that we have the same thing. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to make A bigger. Let me duplicate it 6 times. Or 4 times, that's okay. So this is our original slide that has the same size. All of them are big. So when I want to showcase A here, it's going to be big. Let's say A, let's say I'm teaching children, I'm saying A for apple, and I want this particular one to be emphasized when it moves here. For B, I want B for ball. These are just examples. And in this case, this one will be emphasized. Only this one will be emphasized. This one will still be small. And then the next one, which is C here, will be emphasized. Let's say for cat. These are just examples. And then, yeah. So let's leave it at that. Let me delete these ones that I did earlier. Okay. So the first thing we will do is to come to this A. As we can see, they are all almost the same size. And then click here, morph. No, I don't need to morph this one. This one is going to, okay, let's morph it, and then I'm going to set the time for the movement. So if you come to this right side now, you see sound. We don't want to put sound. Okay, let's try sound actually. I didn't put bulb. So the duration, these 2 seconds is too much for me. Let's put 50. And then we want the transition from the first slide to the next one to happen after how many seconds? We'll put here. I'm going to do less than a second. Are we following? Or do you need me to slow down?
Yes, we are.
Okay, great.
Following, ma.
Okay. So I'm going to apply to all. And apply to all. So if I check this, it's the same timing. If I check this one, the same timing. So let me be sure that the morph thing has been applied to all of them. Yeah, it's been applied to all of them. So if we want to do preview now, let's start from this second one. When you do preview, you're going to see A is showcased, right? A becomes bigger. It starts from the first one. Now, when we move to this next one, preview, B, it moves from A to B. So let's do a slideshow actually. That helps us to slideshow as A, B, C. Yeah, so that's it. You don't have to put sound if you don't want. So that's
Okay, I thought you added the sound. I didn't hear anything.
Oh, you didn't hear, you can't hear the sound on your side. I did. I can hear it from, oh, I can hear it here. I don't know why it's not showing, but I'm sure when you practice it, you'll hear it. So let me quickly show us with the scenario that I created for us, what I did.
Sorry, can I know how those grid boxes were inserted on the PowerPoint slide?
Okay, so it's very simple. This particular, the circles, is it a circle?
Yes, please. Yes, please.
Okay, so what you do, let me think.
You're not sharing your screen.
Yeah, I'll share it now. Yeah, thank you for that question. I actually assumed everybody will know how to add an item. So thank you for bringing me back. So I'm going to, this is a new slide. So if you come up here, you'll see insert. After file home, then there's insert. Come to insert. Look for shapes. Where is shapes? Okay, shapes are here. What's happening here? Okay, shapes. Can we all see it? So if you click on shapes, it brings out the different shapes. So I selected the circle. So when you bring it here, you see my cursor is on the page now, and it's showing as like a plus line, so sign. So what you need to do is to click down and just drag, and then your shape is created. Now, if you right click on this, you see the option to change the color. So fill, I say yellow.
Okay, that's fine. I meant the grid lines with the ruler. You know, there's this box, these
Oh, the
boxes of the
grid.
page.
Oh,
Yes, the
grid.
grid,
Oh,
yes.
grid.
Is it just an
Okay.
insert or is on the home tab? Which feature?
So that grid is not going to show in the presentation, you know, it's just to help you ensure that you have some form of symmetry. I don't remember where, I know I stumbled on it. I don't remember where, but I think it's in grid. It's in one of these places, either format or I'm coming. Give me a moment. So if you come to search, click on ruler. Ruler is here for grid. Grid shows here, and then you can decide the spacing and all. Okay, so I want us to go back to the scenario activity. Screen. So this is already done, but what I'm going to show us is how I started it. So let's say I insert a new slide here. So on this screen now, I have my background. I'm going to copy it and take back here and paste. So this is the background that I got from, I think I got it from Pixabay. That's one of the places you can get free pictures, free photos, Pixabay, Freepik, there are different ones. Or in fact, if you just go online on Google and put free pictures, free images, these are vector images. You always have the option of images, vector, and illustration. So I picked vector, and I explained earlier the reason I like to use vector is because it doesn't pixelate like picture. Imagine if you have a picture that doesn't have that is not a very good quality. When you try to make it bigger, it shows. But that doesn't happen with vector images. So if I come back to this slide, this image too is on its own. I got it as a free image. So if I copy this and bring it here. So that's how I created that first image. Okay, you know what? Let me start afresh from a new PowerPoint slide so that we're able to. So I'm copying this entire slide now. I'm going to open a new presentation, blank presentation, and start afresh. That way so I've copied it in, like I said, put the background and put the image. So what we're going to do now, we're going to duplicate the slide as many times as we need based on what we want to do. So now the first image shows where Sarah is carrying a box. Now, this is not the entire scenario activity. I just want to show us how to use the animation. Tomorrow we'll go through the activity because that will take an entire class, and we'll also learn how to generate this, how to get this images. They're called assets from different websites and all. So the first one now, this is the first spot. The next place she's going to, we want her to start moving out of the room, right? So what we're going to do, click on her object, right click, and okay, no, not right click, come to picture format up here, and you see the option to flip the object. You click under rotate, you see flip. So I'm going to flip horizontally, which means now I want her to face out. No, sorry. Flip out. So now she's facing out, right? Now the next, before I change this one, let me duplicate it for the next position. So now she's facing out on the second slide. The third slide, we want her to be close to the entrance. Oh no, sorry. I should have duplicated the one that is facing out. So let me duplicate the ones that is facing out. So now we want her, so we're going to move her to where we want her to walk to. Okay. So we want her like she's going out of the room. So let's come back to this second one. So if we remember, does anybody remember if we want her to move now, what option, where do we go to? Let me see if we've been following.
We go to more.
Okay, we
We
want to
rotate,
move.
we try to tilt the image to whatever direction we want to, and
Great,
morph.
great. So you mentioned morphing, that's what we want to do. That's very correct. So where do we morph? Where do we go to get to the morph option?
Transition.
Awesome. Great. It's great to know that people have been following. So you go to transition and then you click morph. Very simple. So I also want to.
But I can't see your cursor moving. Is it just me or?
No,
I'm
Yeah.
getting.
It's not moving. Your screen is frozen.
Oh, it's frozen. Okay,
Yeah.
okay. I wonder why that is happening. Let me stop sharing and share again. Can you see it moving now?
Great, thank you, ma. Yes.
Okay, awesome. Okay, great. So the first, did we see when I duplicated the slides?
No, we did not.
Okay,
No,
so
we
that
didn't see
means you're
anything.
frozen for a long time and you didn't realize it. Okay, great. So what I did was to open a new presentation. So coming to file, blank presentation, and that's, so I copied the slide, this complete slide from the other page. So for in your own case, what you're going to do is to put in your background and then put in your object. If it's one person to, you know, it's up to you how you want to do it. So now I have this object here. So I duplicated it. I right-clicked and duplicated my slide. And after duplicating, so I clicked on this object. The next position that I want is for her to be facing the other direction. So I clicked on her, came to picture format. And then here you can see rotate. So I clicked on flip horizontal. So that made her to face out. So I duplicated this one again. And I moved her to the position that I want her to move to. So what the morph feature will do is to now do the movement by itself, but you take the person to where you want her to be. So that's the second stage. We've moved her. So I don't need this anymore. So let's now work on the transition. So the first thing, we come to transition, like you rightly said, we morph, excuse me. And then we need to come to advanced slide, after how many seconds do we want her to? So number one, you want to determine under duration how long you want this slide to be there before there's a movement. So this is 2 seconds. I don't want it to be up to 2 seconds. I'm going to do 1 second. Now, then to advance slide, do you want it to happen on mouse click or after some seconds? So I'm going to do 1 second here. Now for the second one, so the transition to this one happens after 1 second. So here, okay, now let me do 50, less than a second here. So what I'll do is to just apply to all. So we have a morphing feature applied to all of them. If you see, when I click on this one, it's there. When I click on this one, and the timing is also the same. So if we do a preview here, that is that. The second one, when we do a preview, it's going to show the movement. And then this one, when we show the preview, it's going to show her moving. Now, this is a bit too fast, so we can edit this one to move for a longer time so that it looks at least kind of real. Let me do 4 seconds and see, and 5 seconds and see what the movement is like. Still a bit fast, but you know, if that works. So did we see the difference in changing the duration, how it's slower? Because somebody carrying a load like this will not just move fast like that. So it makes it look kind of real, because like I said earlier, when you are doing animation, you want it to add to the experience. You don't want it to distract people. So you don't want something that will look so unreal to people. She's carrying a load, so our movement should be, you know, slower. So let me go back to the other slide and
This person is leaving the meeting. The person is not supposed. It must really be bad.
do we need to mute that person? Okay, now, so I'm coming to this. I want to copy the next scene.
Before you say I not check up on here.
So can we mute ourselves? If you're... So now, the next scene is that she's going to appear in the kitchen. So like I said, this is not our main scenario. I'm just showing us based on the background that I have. So this is her separate, and this is a kitchen background, as we can see. Can we still see my screen? Can we hear me?
Yes, we can. Yeah, we
Okay,
can.
great.
We can.
So this is
Yeah,
how,
we hear
okay, great. So this is how moving into this room. I'm going to duplicate this slide. I think I'll need it like 3 times or 4. Okay, so now here I have it morphed already from where I copied it. And the duration I set here is 2 minutes. So let me increase that so that her movement is not too fast. And then after 1 second, it goes to the next one. So if we're going to preview this now, that is actually not a smooth transition, but okay, that's the transition to display. So this one, this is the one that we need. I need to move her close to the table now, coming from the previous one. So this is the previous one. This is the new one. If I preview, we'll see her moving. This is too fast, so I'm going to increase this to like 5 minutes. Let's preview again. I mean, it kind of looks a bit more real than the other one. So this is something that you have to keep tweaking till you get what you think makes sense to you. I want her to put it down. So what I did here, I'm going to do is to like tilt her a bit. He wants to put it down. Then you have, it has to look kind of real. It's a bit real. This is hard. Let's see what that transition will be like. Just trying to put it down, right? And then the next one is I mean, I want to get the next image. Okay. Okay, so this is the next page. Moving from here. No, this is not it. Moving from putting it down to when it is down. So in this case, what I did was to, so if you notice this image that I got has her holding the box. That's what I got as a free image. Now this one, I had to crop out the box from her hand and put a different box on the floor. Can we see? So that was what I did here. But there are other assets that you can use that has, you know, different positions, standing, bending. You have the box separated. So that's what we are going to do next week. But this is just to show us how the animation works on PowerPoint. So if we preview this one, it's coming from here to that. This is not a very smooth transition though. But so what the next thing I want to show us is how to download this as a video, how to export it as a video. So you come to File and Export. I hope we can still see my screen. I hope you are what I want. Okay, good.
Yes, we're watching.
Okay, so export, when you click on export, so create a video. You're going to have two different options, full HD, large files, or do we want to use, so if what you want to export is, you want it's a video, but you want the different pages to appear separately and people have to click on one page to move to the other one, then you use this first option. But this second option says use recorded timings and narrations. So that's the option we're going to click and use. That's the one we're going to select. And then so we have create video. So you choose your destination. Scenario +1. Export. So if I come to where I saved it, what are we seeing now? Is it PowerPoint we're seeing, or can you see me move from one app to the other?
No.
Only seeing PowerPoint for now.
Okay. I thought as much. So let me stop sharing and then go and pick that. I think it's still downloading. Still downloading. So, okay, good. It's done now. Okay, so let me share that screen and we'll be done for the day. Let me see my media player showing. So I already went to the destination where I saved it on my laptop and I'll play it So this is how it appears as a video. Imagine you want to create a video with vector images and them. So the other things that I did not add to this would have been things like text, maybe your voice over or music, background music, or content text that is talking about what this person is doing, right? So that's it about using the morph feature on PowerPoint to create animation. So that brings us to the end of today's class. So what we're going to be learning next week. Okay, sorry, I did not. So this is what I created myself before. So I just showed us now. This was what I did myself. And at the end of the, okay, let me share screen. So this is what I did myself before the class. Those what's happening? Okay, I already tampered with it when I was copying. So, another reason why it's good to allow it, for example, when she appeared in this room, now you can let her wait a bit. The timing can be slower so that you can write text that will go along with. So one of the things we'll do all that next week, actually. So, escape. So next class, two things that we're going to be doing. In next class, we're going to be generating images using AI on PowerPoint and then other softwares, other applications where you can get AI images for free of charge. And they will create our actual scenario based on the storyboard that we created today. That'll give us our complete e-learning content. So I hope we have learned something new today and the class has been interesting. Okay, great. I'm happy to hear that. So does anyone have any question for me?
Okay, I have a question actually.
Okay.
This PowerPoint, is it just the normal PowerPoint, or is it a special kind of PowerPoint?
It is the normal PowerPoint. And that's why I chose, that there are a lot of different softwares out there that one can use for animation, but many of them you have to pay for them. So I decided to use this PowerPoint because I believe that it's something that most of us have access to. And like I said, if you don't have access to PowerPoint, maybe your organization does not have it, there's the web-based. But like I explained, the video that I exported now, you can't do that with the web-based, but you can use what they call screen recorder. I'll show us next week how to do that. So I have an assignment for us actually. I want us to use AI to generate content for a particular scenario. Maybe in your organization, any course that has been created in your organization or any course that you're interested in, it can be anything based on customer service, warehouse, anything at all. So I want you to generate your content on AI and also create a storyboard for it. I'm going to write that now for us to. So assignment would be. So like I said, if you do your assignment, we're going to be showcasing you on our page. The best assignment will get showcased. So am I sharing my screen? Can you see my screen?
Not yet.
No, not yet. You're not sharing.
Okay.
I actually have a question.
Okay.
If for instance I wanted to use, maybe I wanted to be cheeky or make it more relatable and use like a character.
Yeah.
like somebody in my organization and an actual individual.
It will work.
Maybe I have a picture. Maybe is it I'll cut off the head and just put the head on another body, or I don't know how will something like that work?
Okay, so it's a bit tough. So the picture will work the way it is. And that's why so that option that you mentioned now is actually a good one to consider, crop the head and, it's all about how creative you can be. And that's why most people don't use, for this kind of content, they don't use real people, because the idea of, getting different postures, there'll be a challenge in doing that using chat. Okay, let me quickly show us. There are real pictures on PowerPoint actually.
Falling in love with Jesus. Falling in love
Mute your mic.
Bingo.
Please mute yourself.
with Jesus.
Please, can you?
Jonathan, we love your voice, but do you mind? Sorry, please mute yourself.
I'm telling you.
I've muted him. So create storyboard.
Please forgive me. I'm sorry.
There are many of us that love Jesus here, but this is a class, a professional class. Okay, so let me quickly show us where you can find content on. So I also want us to do a research. Let me share my screen. 1.5 hours. So it looks like the ideal time for each class would be like 1.5 hours. I thought 1 hour would be enough. So we have 2 minutes. Share screen. Okay, so this is our assignment. Generate content for a scenario-based learning using ChatGPT on any topic, learning on any topic. And then create a storyboard for your content. If you remember, we created a story. I did not show us how to create a storyboard on Canva. This is actually easy. You can do this on PowerPoint. I showed us where you can get a shape. For anybody that doesn't know how to, you go to insert and use shapes and arrows. So when you insert shapes, in the same place, you can see arrows, right? Another option, I used Canva for this one. I used Canva for this mind mapping. I wanted to show us, but I forgot. Does anybody know how to use Canva very well?
To an extent, I can work with it.
Okay, so if you can't use Canva, so when you go to Canva, go to search for mind map. So you see different templates. If you can't use Canva, just do it on PowerPoint here. You just need to put all these things together. So let's create a storyboard and get content from ChatGPT. So the content we are going to get from ChatGPT and the storyboard we're going to create, those are the things that we're going to use for animation. So as I'm showing us, I expect people to be practicing. It's easier that way, so that if you have any challenge applying it, it's easy. You can ask questions, because once we leave the class, I'm not there for you to ask me questions until the next class when we need to do the big reveal. So this one, I want us to submit it latest by Wednesday. Is this something we can do? Does anybody have any challenge doing this by Wednesday, Thursday? Generating your content, you need to think of the topic, generate your content for a scenario, and then create a storyboard. Is there anyone that has I may have any challenge doing that. And
Okay,
submitting
so
on
our
Thursday.
assignment would end at the storyboard and not the animation, right?
Sorry, what did you say?
I said, would the assignment end at the storyboard and not the animation? We're not doing the animation.
No. The assignment ends at the storyboard. So this is it.
Okay. I mean, Wednesday, Thursday is perfect.
Okay, sorry, this is it. So you're generating content for a scenario learning on any topic using ChatGPT, and you're also creating a storyboard for your content. That's where the assignment ends. The animation, I'm still going to show us more things about animation before I give you an assignment on that. Okay, great. Thursday is fine. Thursday is fine. So who is asking tomorrow or next week? I don't understand that question.
Yeah,
Okay.
because you had said tomorrow before when you were.
Oh, okay, sorry. So next week, sorry. So next week we'll have another class next week, and then we'll have our assignment